Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Life, Love, Everything podcast. It's me, your host, Tasman Buerta. So, guys, I'm sure you're wondering what the hell? What the helly? I took a little break. It was not planned, it was not intentional. And what should have been a very small break, like a week or two, obviously has been like almost a month, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what? I think it's good to sometimes take breaks, especially when your plate is overflowing, which is the case of what happened with me. But I think you guys are used to that. Hey, I feel like it's become the new soundtrack of my life. So thanks for the patience. And I'm so excited to kick off the second half of season two. Um, sure, I've been finding it so hard just to find time, guys. Like, time is the one thing that I am struggling to have enough of. And I suppose I'm not the only person that feels that way. Um, it's just the season of life, I suppose. And you know me, I'm the girl that has to have too many things to do at all times. And so, yeah, that's where we find ourselves right now. But hey, you won't believe it. It's my first time I'm recording on a Sunday evening. It's about almost 6:30, and I clocked off from work about 2 hours ago, bathed the kids. We normally have a late lunch, early dinner. Yeah, house is clean. And I'm like, you know what? I've got a little bit of energy to spare. Let me do this thing because I'm procrastinating. I'd actually scheduled to put it in for tomorrow, which actually gives me time to do another recording tomorrow. So that's awesome. So let's do it, guys. I have had this thought in my mind for a long time. And I know that you guys are the safe space, and I know that you guys get it. And obviously, it's not something that I alone have been thinking about. I think all moms are thinking about it. But I think it's becoming more prevalent because people are speaking up about it. And that is the mother load. Now, before I dive into my thoughts and my feelings on the subject matter, please, men, don't come for me because this isn't about man versus woman or to bring down men. It's not one of those situations, but it is something that is real. It is something that is happening to all women, all mothers. And it's this uneven, uneven spreading of the load. And when we talk about the load, it's not only talking about the physical load and it's not only talking about the financial load. Um, but it also leans into, of course, those are factors. Don't get it twisted. Those are factors. But we're talking about that mental load, the mental load that for some reason men seem to not be aware of. And obviously, if you're a single father, I think you can relate more to the mother load than those who are partners in a relationship or those who are co-parenting, right? And this is a conversation that my husband and I have all the time because I think my husband is as a present of a dad as they can be. Like I don't think it gets better than him. Um, that might just be my biased opinion. But so when I say that he's very present and he's very involved, like he does the things, he will bath a child, he changes, he was the one that was changing nappies and bathing babies. He did all those things before I did, actually. In fact, he taught me how to do those things. And my husband will be there. If you say so and so has such and such a thing going on that particular day and time, he will be there. Will I have to remind him 3 million times before that event happens? Of course, about the time and the place. I'll most probably have to still remind him when he's on his way going to that place exactly where, when, and what time. But I say that to say, as present as he is, as involved as he is, he still never ever has to think about all the details of things. And it's something, that we have had a few conversations about. And sometimes you just got to pick your battles and choose your battles. But if you remember on the discussion that I had with Karabu Mokoena, she was saying that, it feels like a disservice, and it does something to you. And it does. It really, really does. Because it's like, but why? Like, why do all those finer details have to fall on me? And the kids are even, don't want to say aware of it, but they part of the problem themselves, because many a times my kids will walk right past my husband and the thing that they want or need to come and find me wherever it is in the house that I am, to come and ask me for that thing. And many a times I turn around and I say to them, but don't you have a dad? Is your dad not sitting right there? Why can't you ask your dad? And also they also say many a times that, oh, mom does all the hard work. Because they like, they notice things, or maybe I complain a lot. Of obviously unintentionally at times. And again, it's not to say that my husband is not involved, because he as present and as involved as can be. So like I said, before I started the conversation, this is not a man, father, dad, husband bashing thing, but it's to speak to the load that we as women and mothers carry. And a great example is, for example, my husband actually, as I'm sitting here, has gone out with one of his good friends. And there wasn't even a second thought about it when the invitation came through. And that's not to say that I'm like, hey, you need to run things past me, and I want to know when you're going somewhere with who, which, by the way, he did tell me as soon as the invitation was extended. But he didn't have to stop and think that, oh my gosh, if I go out at this time on this day, what's going to happen with A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Whereas with me and with us as women, you can't immediately accept an invitation. Like, I would have to be like, can I get back to you? I would have to check my calendar to see what's on the calendar for that day. Is anything movable? Okay. If the boys have something on, what is that going to look like? Like, who's going to take them to whatever they need to be? And Lord forbid that there are multiple of them having activities, different places on the same day. Then I would have to think, okay, how long is it going to take me to get done? Am I going to still have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G before I can leave to go there? Because also it's about a peace of mind for yourself. So you ensure that things are in place and things that are done, so that when you come back from wherever it is that you have been, that you don't necessarily have to come back and, start cooking, start cleaning, start taking care of people's needs. So in my mind, that is what I always try to do whenever I have to go do something that is outside of the house. Whereas with the man, they don't have to think about that, because you're there. It's just like this, I want to say, silent thing that they just know that you're there and you'll do the things and it's fine. Whereas for us, we have to think about it and think it over a few times before we can commit. And that is what we speak about when we're talking about the mother load. Like, I could literally say to my husband right now, do you know how does the week look for the boys? And he would not be able to tell you. And that's just, that's just the way that it is. Do we want it to be this way? No. Do I like that it's this way? Hell to the no. And is it something that I continuously ask to be worked on? Absolutely. And what sparked another conversation between us, I saw this TikTok that actually it stirred something deep within my soul. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it was a woman, mom of 3 and a husband. And they're at the start line of a race. And mom hands the children over to the husband. And the song starts playing. Oh my gosh, that song in that video. And she starts running. And dad's got these 3 kids with him, and he's trying to run, 3 or 2 kids, and he's trying to run with them. And obviously when you're holding the children and you're trying to move forward, there's things happening. Like in that video, ironically, one of the children's shoes fell, and the whole consensus about it is that women are carrying the household, they are carrying the family, and that slows a lot of everything else down. Whereas the man gets to just run ahead in his life, in his career, in his goals, in his aspirations, as if nothing has changed. Because for them, technically, nothing has changed. Whereas us, and I was just thinking about it as I was cleaning, like this is my 3rd hiatus from an in-office job. 3rd. And when I think about, not to say that I had an actual career, I wouldn't call it a career, but how far would I have not been in my job? And when I say job, I'm thinking more of from the financial aspect than in the actual growing in the role, because of the company that I work for, there actually was no room to really grow. But like, how much money would have I been earning by now had I not taken any breaks in my career? And I tried to explain that to my husband the other day, that, you know, you have managed to grow so much, and here I am heading for 40 and still, like, I feel like I'm still in the wind, because my main goal and my main focus is to make sure that you guys are okay. And it's not to say that he ever said, oh, I need you to do these things. You know, please understand, it was never a conversation of, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom and look after the kids. But unfortunately, because of how things have turned out in our situation and the needs of our family, that is just the way that it had to be. I had to be the one, you know, to take those breaks. And it's so interesting, because the conversation is growing and growing and growing. If you see on social media that, in fact, there has been a project launched called the Mother Load Project, which is being spearheaded by Professor Ameeta Jaga, I hope I'm saying that right, at the University of Cape Town. And what it's set out to do is to amplify the voices of low-income women in Cape Town. But the truth of the matter is, it's not only low-income women. Obviously, it's not only just for women in Cape Town, but this is where the project is being done. But it speaks to all mothers. You don't have to be a low-income mother to be affected by the mother load. But in this particular project, what they're trying to do is highlight how often the mother load is invisible, it's undervalued, and mostly unpaid. And it brings me back. Okay, guys, in case you haven't picked up, I kind of live a lot on TikTok. It brings me to this other video that I again showed my husband, where it was actually a man saying that, you know, a lot of men want traditional wives. And again, this does not speak to our story, because that's not what my husband wanted. It's not what he signed up for. He knew I was not that girl. He knew it from jump, okay? And this guy goes on to say that men want traditional wives, but can't afford traditional wives. And traditional in the sense of that she stays home, she bears the children, she takes care of the children and the household. And then he breaks it down into a way that men can understand. For example, if you had to hire a private chef, how much would you pay for that private chef? If you had to hire a driver to take your kids up and down to school, how much would you pay that driver? If you had to hire a housekeeper or a domestic worker, how much would you pay for that? If you had to hire a nanny, because remember, domestic worker and nanny, two different jobs, how much would you pay for that? And he continues to break it down and gives the figures and says, this is actually how much you should be paying your stay-at-home wife, but you can't afford it. And of course, my husband did not argue on that fact. I think he recognizes and he sees very much that the amount of hard work that it takes running a household, and he does his bit. He does do his bit. But again, it comes down to a time thing. It comes down to a do I want to thing? Is it necessary? Like what I consider to be important and needs to be done now, he doesn't necessarily do that. Like he'd be the type to come home if he finds me, I'm still busy doing something. He'll be like, why are you cleaning or why are you doing that now? You don't have to. Like, I don't mind if you didn't manage to get to ABCD today. But for me, it just feels like an injustice because you left the house and you went out. And it's not to say that I'm not working, because I am earning a living. You went out of the house, and I just feel like it's so wrong to come back to a house and you find the house is upside down. Like, for me, it's giving, what did you do the whole day? And again, it's not a him thing, it's a me thing. And I think that comes from childhood trauma. In fact, my sister brought it to my attention the other day, exactly where that trauma comes from. That trauma response to having to have my house look a certain way at all times. And yeah, just like you having to, like, for example, I have three kids who are different ages at different stages in their lives, who go to three different schools that are in three different areas, and each one has their own thing going on. And managing that scheduling of my kids, I mean, I've kind of got it down to a knack. I'm not 100% because I've been known to drop a ball or two. I think especially when it comes to my eldest, because I feel like he's the older one and he should have more of a control over his schedule than me. But I have been known to drop the ball a couple of times. And then it frustrates me and it makes me angry because then it brings you back to, but why is it my sole responsibility to do that? And like I always say to my husband, I'm like, you have one job. You just go and do that one job. The amount of things that I have done in those 8 hours that you have been doing your job, I've done about 20 jobs in that hour. In those 8 hours, which is the truth. Even when I was working outside of the house, before I could leave the house, I've already done 5 or 6 jobs, you know what I'm saying? Getting the kids ready, getting myself ready, making sure everyone's lunches are done, whatever they've got going on that day, do they have whatever is needed for that day? And it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's sad that you can't actually like turn that off, or you can't hand it over. Because even when you delegate, right? Because like this is a partnership. So I delegate. But sometimes it's like, why do I have to, like, why can't you remember that so-and-so has a bake sale at school, or that it's show and tell on Thursday and we needed to, print out whatever pictures we needed for the show and tell. Like, we get the same messages. Why is it a mom issue, not a dad issue? But if I tell him and I remind him, I will send him a message and be like, hey, don't forget to print such and such a thing for show and tell, then it will get done. But it's the fact that you still have to take that effort, that extra step in telling the person that they need to do this, that makes the mother load so difficult. And then again, I saw another video by, don't know who this person is, but apparently they have their own talk show according to the TikTok. And he said there that women should prioritize children and family before career, and that they should actually find a husband by the age of 25. And of course, the sisterhood came out in their numbers to that because, again, what the hell? What the helly? And the truth of the matter is that's how a lot of men think. Um, and it's sad, and it's also speaking to why there is this big shift, and I don't know if men are realizing that there's this big shift, that a lot of women are saying that they don't want to get married and they don't want to have children anymore because it feels like a trap. It feels like a scheme, like the women is getting the short end of the stick. And again, I know and I believe that marriage is a good thing, especially when done with the right person. And that God loves marriage. And that is why he holds that covenant, in such close regard, because it's such a beautiful space when done with the right person. And when everyone understands their role as God intended it to be. And that is not to say that it is a woman's job to cook and clean, because my husband knows I don't play about that. Okay. Like, we both got hands, they both work, and you will find, like, if my husband gets back from work and I'm still working, he knows he will start cooking. Or if I've cooked already, he will put the children in the bath. Like, there is no, this is your job only and this is my job only type situation in our relationship. And I do know a lot of relationships whereby men will only say that they're going to do X, Y, and Z and not further. And, I love that for those that love that for themselves, but that ain't me. And so it blows my mind that, and I say it to my sons all the time, the eldest one especially, because obviously he can understand. I'm like, please know that this is not only a woman's job. Please know that you can also, and you should also, no sitting around waiting, oh, mom's going to do this or mom's going to do that. If you can see that mom is busy, pick up a broom, sweep, wash a dish, and I must be honest, like, I think the light bulb is coming on, because my poor kid, he's been helping me so much while he's been on school holidays because I've been working like crazy. But also I don't want one day for my daughter-in-law to say, oh, your son is so lazy, he does nothing. And I also don't want him to ever have to feel like he needs to depend on a woman, or that he needs a woman to cook for him, or to no, there's no that thing. Like, when two people come together, it should be a beautiful thing, not a I need you to do thing. Um, which is, I feel, why our relationship works so well, my husband and I, because it was never a what can I get from you thing. It was always a let's build each other up thing. Which we have done. It's just that the way that life is, and let's not put into it cultural expectations, because for those of you that don't know, my husband is mixed race, I am colored. Yeah, that comes with its own set of challenges. And again, it's not to say that he believes in those ways, but we are shaped by our culture and by the people we surround ourselves with, and by things that we have been taught and shown, and it does take time for you to realize that, hey, there isn't only one way of how things should be done. And so, yeah, those are challenges that we've had to overcome, or, compromise on, or I always want to be respectful of, what he believes in or what his family believes in, out of respect. But I'm never going to do something because that's just the way that it's supposed to be done. That's not it. And he doesn't expect that of me. But it just, I don't know. I don't know how do we fix the problem, because it is a problem. It's not nice to be seen as undervalued. It's not nice to feel like you are invisible, like all you're good for is taking care of kids and cooking and cleaning. Um, And it's also not nice to for it to be something that obviously we do it out of love, um, for our families, but to be done, yeah, just like, and not be respected in you doing that. Because, I know there's also that conversation of stay at home mom versus working mom. Which one is hard? Guys, they are both hard. I've done them both. They are both hard. I suppose we just have to choose our battles. Hey, like, are we going to be outside the house getting money, or inside the house saving money type situation? Like, that's basically what it boils down to. And they both hard, and it's both hard conversations, but it's conversations that we need to continuously have. Otherwise, nothing is ever going to change. Like, I want my daughter-in-law to not have to say something that her husband just knows that that's what he has to do. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of men that I'm raising. Um, but also vice versa. I mean, we need to carry each other. We need to be there for each other. We need to give each other help and support, and, supporting each other's dreams. Like, at the moment, you know, um, both my husband and I are trying to better ourselves in our chosen career paths. And so that comes, with taking time out to study, and work travels and commitments and all things like that. And it's just, it's a big compromise, it's a big give and take, and supporting each other. And that's why it's so important to choose the correct partner. And again, I feel like that's another conversation, because it's a conversation that I'd like to have with him here, because it's something that we have spoken about, where people are saying that you should know the kind of baby mother or baby father that you are getting with. And, the both of us laughed so hard when I saw that, because we were like, if that was really, really the case, both him and I would not be married. Never mind married to each other. We were not the poster children of what a good relationship, or we were not exuding the qualities of what good parents and good wives and husbands look like back then when we met. And so these things, obviously are like an onion and have lots of layers to it. And I'm just hoping the fact that we're having these conversations and that we are being open about it, because it is hard. Okay. Being a parent is hard, and it's a choice and a decision that should be made and taken seriously, not lightly. And again, another conversation that my husband and I had was that I told him, I'm like, I'm coming to realize more and more. Like, for me, when I found out that I was becoming a mom, there was a switch that I could feel, like the light was starting to turn. And the minute that boy came into the world and cried his first cry, that light bulb went on, and it's been on ever since. And I've come to realize that it's not that way for all women. And that is evident, in these cases that we are seeing, of Jocelyn Smith and Jaden. And I'm sure there are many, many, many more stories like that we don't hear about or see. But then again, it also, there's so many layers, because what drives a parent to do something like that, But like I'm saying, for me, again, I think it's because that switch just doesn't switch on, because I can't understand, like, how. But then again, I can also understand that, like, how tough motherhood is, how depression, because depression, postpartum depression, which, guys, doesn't only happen immediately after giving birth. It can happen 2, 3, 4, 5 years after the fact. Because we just expected to go through this life-altering thing called becoming a mother, and pick up and carry, and I will forever say it, pick up and carry on with life as if your whole world has not just been turned upside down and inside out. And that's not to say that it is a terrible thing. Motherhood is beautiful. I love my kids with everything that I am. I would give my all, which is what I feel like I am doing for them. And to make sure that they are good and straight, and that they never have to wonder, will my parents be there for me? Will they show up for me? Do they care about me? Do they love me? Those are questions I never ever want them to have to ask themselves. But I feel as a society, we need to stop for a moment and have a hard look. If there are any men listening to the podcast, or even women, share this with your husbands, because sometimes we're also maybe afraid, which shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't be afraid to speak to your partner. But again, I don't know the dynamics in your relationship. I talk about everything with my husband, whether it's a subject he wants to hear or not. And yeah, sometimes when you hear it from someone else, for some reason, because I think men just have this wonderful thing where they can tune out the woman's voice, and it's quite evident sometimes in my household with both my husband and my kids. But I think I do the same to them sometimes as well. But sometimes when you hear something coming from somebody else, it just sounds different and it hits different. That we all can do a little bit better. Like, just pay a little bit more attention. Like, if you see that, oh, she's having a tough time today. She's struggling, I don't know, to get out of bed because she's so exhausted because she's been working 7 days straight. You know, you get up. You make the kids breakfast. Take them out. Something as simple as washing the dishes can become like one of those icks in life, or putting on the washing machine, or and guys, referring to another video that I saw when a man said, and I was talking about a celebrity couple. I won't mention their names because, like I said in my response, that it's none of our business what happens in other people's households, especially when they haven't made it our business. But they were saying that because everyone is shocked that they're getting divorced, and he was saying that it takes one argument for it to all end. And I said that it's not one argument. It's you having the same argument over and over and over and over again for years on end until you just can't take it. So don't let it get to that, guys. And I promise you, it's not always going to be like this. I was deep in the trenches of motherhood, drowning. Nobody could save me, no matter how hard my husband tried, or no matter him saying, oh, you don't have to do that, and you don't have to do this, and yeah, let me get you some help, and me not wanting the help and thinking I have to be superwoman. And it got better because your kids don't stay little forever. They don't stay little forever. The bigger they get, the little bit easier it does become, in terms of that they are able to do things for themselves. But obviously, they're in different seasons of their lives, and that will require a different version of you. But I just want us, as I close off this topic, because I feel I could go on for days. We would be here for days. Is that let's just be a little bit more kinder. Men, to your co-parent, to your wife, to your girlfriend, the mother of your children, let's just be a little bit more kinder, a little bit more present in her needs. Remember, the saying goes, happy wife, happy life. It's there for a reason. If mom is good, if mom is straight, if mom is sorted, best believe you're going to be good too. The kids are going to be wonderful. But the minute mom is out of whack, off balance, things aren't making sense, she's miserable, she's sad, she's depressed, she's lonely, those will trickle into the rest of the family. And I promise you guys, it's just simple, small gestures that make the big difference. And I'm going to leave it right there, guys. I look forward to seeing your comments in the comment section, the shares and the likes. And yeah, thanks for joining me yet again on the Life, Love, Everything podcast. It's your girl, Tasman Botha.